And then, more recently, I started to think, well, actually the configuration of the lights appear as a kind of Morse code. They're dots and dashes, they're bright and they're dim. And I've been thinking more recently about how there could be a relationship between the Morse code signaling as a visible signaling, but also as an audio signaling, and how that might relate to the Geiger counter noises of radiation levels, which you can hear in the back gallery from the speakers in the fireplace. And they are Geiger counter readings of radiation levels around Fukushima. So there's something there for the future as a way of bringing those two elements back together. Okay, so that's just to give you a bit of an indication of some of the issues and concerns in the show and how that's come together. I'm happy if people have got any questions about the work downstairs to answer any immediate questions, either now or later. But I want to take us into the next phase of the conversation, which is to look at some of the projects and some of the relationships that we've been building with Tokyo One Site. If anyone has any immediate questions, I'll take them now about the work. Okay, we'll do that later then. So, I've just shown a couple of pictures here, which are about some of the projects that we've been doing with Chelsea, Camberwell and Wimbledon students and staff with Tokyo Wonder Site. And this is a project around waste. And we each year for the last 6 or 7 years we've had a group of postgraduate students going to Tokyo, I think for a month, and working with a group of young artists from different parts of the world, and also with leaders of the workshops. In this particular instance, we worked with Chinese artist Song Dong, who with myself and other tutors devised a workshop in response to Tokyo Wonder Site's concerns for the environment around kind of waste. And this is documentation of an exhibition by Song Dong, who has collected together all the possessions from his mother's house, which he has kept and never threw them away. So this is a lifetime's collection of items that his mother collected. Toothpaste, bottles, shoes, hats, coats, chairs. In other words, everything that his mother ever consumed or owned, she kept. And then this was then placed in a number gallery context. I think it came to the Barbican, if anyone saw it at the Barbican, but it's a well-travelled show. So it kind of asks questions about usefulness and waste. Interesting comparing to the previous picture, which is the waste after a festival gathering on the banks of the Sumida River. And the other context is work by Vic Muniz, the Brazilian artist, whose work uses basically materials from municipal rubbish sites to reconstruct classical portraits and paintings. And he works with the people who are the scavengers of the tips, mainly in South America, to bring them together to refocus their labour on constructing these images, which he then photographs, and the photographs then become the artworks, and the artworks then become a commodity which goes into a gallery, and the income from the sales of the work then goes back to the workers who made the work. So there's a kind of recycling of wealth, but also a recycling of the materials and a revaluing of waste materials into something that is associated with value, i.e. a work of art. So he was one of the other artists that Tokyo One Site brought into the kind of workshop environment. So So you have a number of different influences working, different cultural influences. So we visited the municipal waste disposal centre with extraordinary operation rooms. And we visited a number of sites in the Tokyo area, which are sites that are now made from totally reclaimed, it's totally reclaimed land, using a combination of waste, of recycled waste, of renewable energy, of tree planting, of forestation and so on. And there's just a couple of the kind of dialogue sessions that take place in the workshop. I think I'll leave that there, and if you want to add anything to the context of that.
Yeah.
So I don't have any more slides to show.
Okay, all right.
Unless you want to comment on any of the slides, I feel we should reopen the curtains and let some air back into the room.
Why don't we sit down and
Okay.
conversation?
I'm just going to leave that there because it's going to disappear. Okay.
No, maybe later.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, thanks very much, Chris. I'm going to bring Imamura-san into it a little bit. I feel I didn't do justice to it in my introduction, so why don't you tell us a bit more about Tokyo Wonder Site and what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, Tokyo Wonder Site is, we have like 3 missions. One mission is supporting and nurturing emerging artists. And also second mission is international cultural exchange or like a cultural dialogue. A third mission is more like an experimental like activity or like interdisciplinary things. Kind of a, on-site research center. So then we worked on these 3 big agenda and the 3 missions. So we started in 2001, and then now we're in 2013. And then we started working with University of the Arts London like 7 years to having a workshop and several agendas. We started the workshop on environmental issues. And then also the Wonder Side is focusing on or encouraging like process sharing or like knowledge sharing. We very much focusing on process, not on result, like presenting place. It's could be educational, but I don't use educational like more than learning each other. Experience is more important. So then also the environmental issue is not like it's only a cross-cultural dialogue. Environment issue is a mutual, very important agenda. It's not like other side of the river. It's environment issue is a responsibility for everyone. So then this one things influence to in Tokyo influence to London. We were living in one planet. It's like one creature, in the globe. So we started to doing this agenda and in our workshop-based kind of an on-site laboratory works.
So environment is a specific sort of
but also like we talked about water, river issues, and we did so many of the like themes on and also at the same time, and then Chris showed the exhibition by Sondon. So Sondon is a good friend of Wonder Site. It's a good friend of us, and also the Big Muniz is also a good friend of us. So we asked them to join our workshop and present, to commit to a project. So then we really want to start about the definition of the waste. He said, what is a waste? What is a kind of borderline of the waste? So can we call the Sondon's mothers collecting material can we call waste? Or like it's kind of of course, a part of her life and also the memories. We can't say that it's just a waste. So then also recyclable material is also it could be used for another for another activity. So then one scholar on economics in Japan, also he works on environmental issues. He presented the two words, goods and bads. And, goods could be recycled is kind of goods. The bads is couldn't be like it's going to be waste factories is going to be burned. So then it's a kind of a cycle of change. It's like it's kind of like our life cycles or like a life cycle of the nature.
Right. And Tokyo is, I suppose, one of the world capitals of garbage, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't suppose you get that many tourists looking at it. What did your students make of it?
Well, there's some of them here, so they can probably tell you themselves. But I don't know. I think for me, Tokyo has always been a city of immense contradiction. That it has some of the most profligate consumerism that you can find anywhere. 24-hour shopping for unnecessary items seems to be a kind of national tradition. But it's also a city, large into a country that has an incredibly responsible attitude to disposal of waste. Thankfully, there is a very, very, significant industry which is about waste management, and that is commendable as a model. The streets are clean. There's very little unmanaged waste. I think in UK we live in a culture of unmanaged waste, with a marginal amount of managed waste. I think the opposite is true in Japan, which seems a very sort of organised culture in terms of managing its waste. But then I guess that's partly due to the fact that it produces a lot of waste. So for me, there's real contradictions around cause and effect.
And how did the exchange project get set up in the first? How did you two come into contact?
We met in a cafe.
Yeah, we met in cafe. Then also, we discussed. We became friends, and then of course, instantly, okay, let's work together. For some project. But also, later on, Tokyo and GLA, Greater London Authority, has started to having an exchange. So then I was responsible for cultural policy. So I was asked by the previous governor of Tokyo to go into Ken Livingston's office and to talk about what should be the theme of exchange. So then I met the person who was responsible for cultural policy. I think senior strategist Judith. I forgot her last name, but we talk a lot about possibility, potentiality. Then she started telling about maybe it's good to start with higher education. So then she started writing about the name. Why don't you meet Mr. Chris Wainwright? I already knew him. It's very simple. Then also I rang him. And then I was recommended by the GLA to having a partnership, and then we formally started working together.
Right.